it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Friday, which always means it's live album ranking. And today we've got a British rock band. The band that are sort of known for the first band to really use that harmony twin lead guitars. And it is Wishbone Ash, formed in Torquay in 1969. Now, there are lots of Wishbone Ash live albums, but they're not. I could only listen to 13 of them. I tried hunting all my usual places to just listen to them and stream them, but it wasn't going to happen. So we've got 13 today. Most of them are really good. They're just a great live band. So we'll crack on. So coming in at number 13 from 2018, it's Raw to the Bone at the BBC. So playing on here, we've got Mervyn Spence on vocals and bass, Andy Powell, of course, on guitar, Laurie Wisefield on guitar, and Mr. Steve Upton on the drums. Now these were recorded for the Friday Rock Show at the Maida Vale session, transmitted in 1985. So what did they do? Well, they did 4 tracks on the first bit from the Raw to the Bone album. They did give us Long Live the Night, Cellar Frame, Love Is Blue, and People in Motion. Now these are like new. They were the newer tracks, and they sound much better live than they did in the studio because it's got that little bit of that 80s feel that these really do rock as live tracks. And then the second part is a concert recorded on December the 9th, 1985 at Hammersmith Odeon. And guess what? I remember this. Yes. So on here, it was only another short set. So they, from just testing, we had Living Proof, Raw to the Bone, Cellar the Frame again, The King Will Come from Argos, and Blown in the Wind from Argos. Okay, it's a very short session. I think the session stuff from Raw to the Bone is the best bit of this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12. Now this is a little album that's a live promotional called Live in Memphis. It's it's an EP, and it was included as a bonus tracks on the remastered version of Argos from 1972. So it's Andy Powell, Ted Turner, Martin Turner, and Steve Upton. A great lineup. And on here you get from Pilgrimage, you get 2 tracks straight off. From Pilgrimage, you get Jailmate and the Magnificent Pilgrim, 10 minutes of brilliance in its rarity. And then you get Phoenix, which takes up the other side, which is off the debut album, 17 minutes of pure music. It's pretty good, even though it's very short. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in number 11, we got an album that came out in 1981. It was recorded somewhere in England, and it's called Hot Ash. Martin, Andy, Laurie, and Steve. Another good lineup. And this one kicks off from Argus, Blowing Free. Brilliant version of it. I love that track. From Just Testing, we have a little bit of Living Proof. Now then we have some tracks off more the later albums. Goodbye Baby, Hello Friend from Front News Page. Again, it sounds so much better live than on the studio. Just like Bad Weather Blues. It's a good track on the album, but the live version to me is the best from No Smoke Without Fire. Then we go back to Wishbone 4 for a little bit of Doctor. Once again, excellent. The Way of the World from the No Smoke Without Fire, 10 minutes track, excellent. Much better than the studio. Helpless from Just Testing is awesome. I'm back to Wishbone 4 for No Easy Road. Not the best. It's a good lineup, but the recording is a bit strange, and it had that horrible 3D cover. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.6. Coming in at number 10. Recorded in 1978 in Tokyo, released in 1979, and it's called Live in Tokyo. Martin Turner, Steve Upton, Andy Powell and Laurie Westfield. This opens up from There's a Rub. Fub. Great track. Once again, they sound so much better live than on the studio albums. The Way of the World from No Smoke Without Fire again, followed by See You Red. Very good versions of them two tracks. And then we get Jailbait from Pilgrimage and Blowing Free. This is a really good album, even though it's only got the 4 or 5 tracks on. They're killers. Great versions of them, and I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 9 is a little thing called Roadworks. It's split into 4 volumes. They've released them separately, but they have put them into a box set. So they're in 4 parts. We'll go through that. There's different people lining up. So we've got people like Bob Skeet, Joe Cabtree, Andy Powell, Muddy Mannion, and Ainsley Powell. So the first one is Live at the Grand. I won't go through what albums come off because there's so many tracks on these. So you got See You Wed, The Perra, The Power Sorry, Driving a Wedge, In Crisis, Rock and Roll Widow, Can't Get It Alone, Fub, Lady J, Lullaby and Jailbait. Now they're all recorded at the Grand in Clitheroe in 2010. Then we've got in 2011 recorded in Hamburg. Dreams Out of Dust, front news page, In Crisis, The King Will Come, Northern Lights, Disappearing, Reason to Believe, Engine Overheat, Throw Down the Storm. Then in Live in Germany we've got Sometime World, Keeper of the Light, Faith, Hope and Love, Leaf and Stream and Warrior at the Pilgrimage, Heading Ground and Healing Ground and Phoenix. And then at the AshCon, which is the Wishbone Ash Convention, we have The King Will Come, Warrior, Throw Down the Sword, Rock and Roll Widow, Ballad of the Beacon, Baby Do You Want Me to Do, The Pilgrimage, Blowing 3, Jailbait, Lady Whiskey and Fisky. Not a bad box set. Lots of repeats, of course, but it's a small chunk of history from the later years, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 6.3. Coming in at number 8, from 2007, Live in Hamburg, recorded in Hamburg on the 23rd of January 2007. So we've got Andy Powell on guitars, Muddy Mannion on guitars, bass Bob Skeet, and Ray Wesson is on the drums. So it opens up with 2 tracks from the Clandestiny album. It's a very good album, very underrated. And they do Open Eyes Wide, Eyes Open. Shall we start again? Eyes Wide Open and Healing Ground. Very good songs and very good versions. Then they do some songs of Argus. We have The King Will Come, The Warrior. Excellent tracks, not bad versions either. Why Don't We, From Here to Here, which is good. Then we go back to the Clandestiny album for Dreams Out of Dust, pretty good. A little bit of Raven from the same album. Back to Argus for Sometime World. Validation from Pilgrimage is on here. Sorrel from Wishbone 4 is on here. Capture the Moment from Clandestiny again. This was the album they were promoting at the time. Then we have a track from Illuminations, Tales of the Wise. It's a better live track than on the studio, just like Almighty Blues from Bona Fide. Sounds a lot better. Standing in the Rain from Strange Affair sounds fantastic live, better than the studio. Then we go back to where it all started for a 19-minute brilliant version of Phoenix. And Blind Eye from the debut album. Ballad of the Beacon from Wishbone 4, and they end up with the classic Blowing Free from Argos. I was quite surprised when I listened to this one. I didn't expect to be as good. It's not the original lineup, but it's a great lineup, and they play the old tracks fantastically. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7. Recorded in 1995, recorded at the Rock Heroes Festival, and this is called Live in Geneva. Lineup on this is Andy Powell guitar and vocals, Roger Philgate guitar, lap steel and vocals, Tony Kishman on bass, and Mike Sturgis on drums. This opens up with, from Argos, The King Will Come, which always sounds good, regardless of which lineup. It's a great track anyway. Strange Affair from Strange Affair. Great. Back to Argos for a Throw Down the Sword, another great version of it. Now, once again, we have a track from an album that's not one of my favourites, but the live version of this song is brilliant. It's In the Skin from Nouveau Calls. Excellent. Hard Times from Stranger in a Strange Affair. Brilliant live. Bit of Blowing in the Wind. We have to have a... Can't do a Ash gig without that. Here to Here, another album that I'm not, doesn't sound so good in the studio, but when you play it live, Keeper of the Light sounds fantastic. They're just a great live band. Then we have this little medley of Blind Eye and Lady Whiskey from Wishbone Ash, pretty cool. Jailboat, a little bit of Phoenix from Wishbone Ash, and the Pilgrim from Pilgrimage. Nice little medley put together, lovely to hear that. From New England, Runaway. Again, they just sound so much better live, these tracks. Sometime World, a brilliant track from Argos. And then Vastis from Pilgrimage. Really good album. It's just surprised how good the later band played live. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 6 is Live Dates. Now, this album was recorded between 1976 and 1980 and features Martin Turner on bass, Andy Powell on guitar, Laurie Wisefield on guitar, and Steve Upton. So, side 1. Starts off with a great version of Doctor from Wishbone 4. Terrific version of it. From Just Testing, we have Living Proof. Runaway from New England, and Helpless from Just Testing. Great versions, and it's great to hear these guys that recorded them do them excellent. Then we have from There's a Rub, a little bit of fub. Can't go wrong with that one. The Way of the World from No Smoke Without Fire. Lorelei from New England, brilliant version of that. Persephone from There's a Rub, great track, one of my favourites off that album. Love that track. From New England, All in My Dreams, Rescue Me. Then we have Time Was from Argos. Brilliant. Goodbye Baby, Hello Friend, a great version off the front news page. And we end this one with No Easy Road from Wishbone Form. Great live album. Lots of atmosphere. Some great playing on this, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.7. Coming in at number 5. Recorded at the Metromobile on Easy Street in Chicago, and it's the Ash Live in Chicago. Bass was Andy Pyle, drums was Ray Weston, Ted Turner was on the guitars and lap steel, Andy Powell was on the vocals, and keyboards Dan C. Gilgoli. This one opens up with the classic The King Will Come from Argos. Then we have 2 tracks from Strange Affair, the title track itself and Standing in the Rain. Then 2 tracks from Here to Here, Lost Cause in Paradise, Keeper of the Light. Back to Argos for a 10-minute version of Throw Down the Sword. Nouveau Calls, the best version of In the Skin. live. Brilliant. Why Don't We From Here to Here is another great track. Hard Times from Strange Affair, then we can't have a Wishbone Ash Without Blowing Free, and then Living Proof from Just Testing. Another enjoyable Wishbone Ash live album. Some excellent tracks on here. Again, it was great having Ted and Andy really knocking them out on that gig. Excellent gig. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Now, coming in at number 4 is the 40th anniversary gig in London from 2009. The lineup on this one is Andy Powell on guitars, Bob Skeeter on bass guitar, Muddy Mannion on guitars, Joe Crabtree on drums. We've got Martin Birch, acoustic guitar, Mervyn Spence does some vocals, and Ben Granfelt does some guitars as well. So they open up this show from the debut album, Blind Eye. If you can open up your 40th anniversary to take something off your first album. Then they do a really good version of New England's Runaway. Right or Wrong from Front Page News. Great to hear that live. Growing Up from The Power of Eternity. A really good track, and it sounds fantastic live. Sometime Well from Argos. I'm bringing out all the classics. Now, Rainstorm. It's a good track off Number of the Brave, and it's even better live. The Way of the World from No Smoke Without Fire's on here. Everybody Needs a Friend, the great track from Wishbone 4. The King Will Come, followed by Throw Down the Sword. Can't get any better than that. 2 great tracks from Argos. Then Cellar Frat of Fame from Raw to the Bones. A brilliant version of Almighty Blues from Bonafide. Staying with that album, we had Faith, Hope and Love. Engine Overheat from Twin Barrels Burning, brilliant. And then a 15-minute version of Phoenix from Wishbone Ash. Little bit of Jailbait from Pilgrimage and Blowing Free to end the night. I would say of the new lineup or the new current sort of band, this is great. Bob Skeet is great on here, on the bass. It's an excellent album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. Coming in at number 3. This came out in 1991, but it's BBC One Radio 1 Live, but it was recorded at the Paris Theatre in 1972. Andy Powell, Martin and Ted Turner and Steve Upton. So you're looking at classic Wishbone Ash here. So of course this one opens up with some tracks off Argos. Blowing Free, followed by Time Was. Wonderful. 2 tracks from Pilgrimage. Jailbout in the Pilgrimage. Then we go back to Argos for Warrior, Throw Down the Sword and the King Will Come. And then probably one of the best live versions of Phoenix I've got. Absolutely terrific. Classic Ash. All the tracks off them first 3 albums. What more do you need? Brilliant. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Coming in at number 2. It's called Wishbone Ash on Air. So this is recorded from Radio 1 in the Old Grey Whistle Test. Came out in 1999. The recordings come from 71, 72 and 77. So this one, of course, we start off with Blind Eye from Wishbone Ash. 2 tracks from Pilgrimage, Lullaby and Pilgrimage, and Jailbreak, sorry there's 3. Argos, Blowing Free and Throw Down the Wind. Back to Pilgrimage with Van Dis. Wishbone 4, Hello, Goodbye Baby, Hello Friend, from the Front Page News. Coming from the Rain. Some classic stuff on here. No audience, but you just get this pure sound. It's wonderful. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. But my favourite and number 1 album live by Wishbone Ash was released in 1973, and it's called Live Dates. and it was recorded in Croydon in 1973 using the Rolling Stones mobile studio. And we have got Andy Powell, Ted Turner, Martin Turner and Steve Upton on this. So this one opens up with 3 of the best tracks from Argos: The King Will Come, Warrior and Throw Down the Sword. That takes up side 1. Side 2, we start off with, from Wishbone 4, Rock and Roll Widow, killer version of that. Staying on the album, we have Ballad of the Beacon, another good track. And then they do a cover song from Jimmy Reed, Baby What Do You Want Me to Do, 1959. The Pilgrimage, we get The Pilgrim, Blowing Free from Argos, Jailbait from Pilgrimage. These are great versions. And then side 4 is taken up with 2 tracks from Wishbone Ash, Lady Whiskey and the brilliant Phoenix. Classic Wishbone Ash. I just love this album. It's so raw. I must remember to take my phone out. Sorry, folks. It's just one of the best live albums from that period, I think. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that one. I know there's a lot of Wishbone Ash fans out there. Coming up next is the brand new album from the mighty Jethro Tull. So join me for that. Bye for now.